Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, starting with the DXY on the daily time frame. So, still looking for this wave C down. We're waiting for this wave here to end, and then the first scenario is we get this C down. The second scenario is we get a correction in here, and then we can buy. On the H4, we got this WXY, looking for this X2 and a Z up. We are starting to get a flag here. So next week, if you get a buy set up on the lower time frames, you can look to buy up to this 123.6 as the first target and 161.8 as the second target. Then if you get a sell set up, you can look for that sell for the wave C down, or it just turns into the larger correction like I showed on the daily. The H1, you can see we're getting a little flag here. This may turn more complex as like an A, B, C, and then you get an A, B, C. But price action at this particular moment is looking rather bullish. So if you go down onto the lower time frames, you get a buy setup. You can keep a tight stop, and I showed you the targets for that Z up. AU, nothing's changed on the AU daily. Just looking for buys for this larger C up. H4 is starting to be very choppy down the bottom here. We got this like WXY, X2, and we got that Z down. Then we got that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and another one up. Bounced off that 100 fib as a larger correction. Then it did come down, just break the low. This is still looking very corrective though. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get another one down in here. There's no real buy setup. You can see how complex this is becoming. We got this impulse down. It did come down and just break that low. We had a bear hidden here. So I said you have to be very careful with the buy. And that was a very deep retracement to this move here. So that's fine. Then we got this 1, 2, 3 in here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now we may get another one down in here, and this may turn motive, as like a WXY, X2 and a Z down. For the sell setup, there may be a sell on it. Actually, if I just go back to the daily, there is no bear hidden on it. On this here, there is no bear hidden. So, it is quite risky to look for that unless you get a very nice setup. There really isn't. You'd have to go right down onto the lower time frames to look for a buy. You'd be looking for a little correction in here on the lower time frames to at least get a C down, get it to break even, because it may give you more upside if it doesn't fall over. GU on the daily, nothing's changed on the daily. Like I've mentioned many times before, there is two scenarios here. This is either an A, B, C, and that's the top. It did bounce off a higher time frame trend line, or this is a larger flat and we get an A, a B, and we get a C up. very hard to get the direction here. After this wave here is over, we'll be looking for a correction. If we get a correction, well, then we can sell. If we get a impulse up and a buy setup, well, then we can buy for that C up, for that possible larger expanding or running flat, whichever one it turns into. H4, we are still looking for one down. We're looking for this like W, X, Y, X2 and a Z down. Still looking for this internal C up in here. And we are at a low, so you definitely can look to buy this just as a scalp, mainly as a scalp. So we have this like A, B, C in here, and then I'm looking for that A, B, C. It's not giving a very nice setup here, so it is going to be really risky, really, you know, at this stage to buy. You could really only, if I just go down to the M15 quickly, you can see how risky this is to buy. We already have like 1, 2, 3 up with bearish divergence. We don't have a lower low here. So, you know, it is a very risky trade if you get a sell in here, because we have that possible bull hidden. We have a possible bull hidden here. So you have to get a really nice setup to be able to sell, and you really need a really nice setup to buy as well. So yeah. EU on the daily, nothing's changed. I'm looking for that larger C up. Wherever this wave ends, I'm looking for that C up. H4, like I've mentioned, it has been looking very corrective. So we got that like this can become very complex as well, because we got an impulse down here, 1, 2, 3 up. So we can get like 1, 2, 3. We got that 3 down, but we can still get an A, B, C up in here before we get another one down. There was a buy set up on this, I believe, on Friday. It would have taken you out though if you took that buy. It's more of a sell. You know, let's go back to the H4 quickly. No, we didn't get bearish divergence there, but that's fine. It didn't get to that 100 fib. This one here has given a lower low. It's only just broken this low here over here, but it's looking rather corrective. So if you do get a correction, you definitely could look for another one down. It's really only scalping. You're at the low of the daily. So yeah, you're really only scalping, and you'd want to keep very tight stops if you're selling. Ideally, you know, I'd like to see this on the H4 come down, break the low, give us bullish divergence in here, and then any bullish setup we get, we can look for that C up on the daily. And NU on the daily. Oh, that's not the daily, that's the daily. Just looking at this last section here. So we got that nice impulse up. We got 1, 2, 3 down. We are starting to get that bullish divergence now, like I've mentioned many times before. This can, as same as AU, it can come down and break that low in the B wave before we get that C up. We are starting to get that bullish divergence on the daily here now too. So we have like a internal A, B, C in here. H4 had that correction, a complex correction in here, like I've gone over last few weeks. At this stage on the H4, there is no buy setup, and you'd be looking for a correction. If it's corrective in there, well, you could scalp another one down just to go and break that low. The H1, we are starting to get bullish divergence, so that's fine. We'll probably have to start to look at this as some sort of a flat in here. You know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 before we get 1, 2, 3 down. We're getting all this bullish divergence, and you can't. Well, you can buy it, but it's very risky to buy. If I just zoom in here, and you'll see why. We have a bear hidden here, bear hidden divergence. So more than likely this will come down, break that low. But after it does, more than likely we'll get bullish divergence. If we get bullish divergence and you go down onto the lower time frame, you look for the first setup, and then you can look for the buy. GY on the daily. This is very slow up the top here, but we got that WX extended wave Y, looking for the X2 and then a Z up. Internally, we've got this 1, 2, 3, 4. We're looking for a fifth one up here. It is starting to look, well, it's been looking bullish up here for quite some time. It hasn't moved. Like I was looking for that 1, 2, and go up and break the top from here. It never did that. Instead, it's turned more complex. So it's getting very difficult to trade to get a structure out of it. So we sort of got like 1, 1, 2, 3 up, and we get 1, 2, 3. So I'd still be looking for buys. You can only really sell under this low here. You know, that's the problem. We really need another one up, ideally to go and break all the tops, and then we'd be looking for that larger X2 to sell. H1, there really isn't much at all. You know, I have to change this. Like this is some sort of complex correction. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So at this stage, we've got a 3, 3, 3 complex correction. There is no buy set up on it, and really, like I said, you can really only sell under that low unless you're scalping. And if you're trying to scalp this, you know, you're going to get cut to pieces. You know, you're just going to get cut to pieces, and you're wasting your time. That's what you know, marketers do. You know, they get their traders to scalp all this, and they just get cut to pieces. They never make money. But at this stage, there really isn't much at all. We do have a bullish divergence here between this low and this low, by the look of it. So really, you'd be going down onto the lower time frames, looking for a buy setup, because we're looking for the larger impulse up. So you'd be looking for a buy setup. If you get a buy setup here, that'd be fine, because you've got that bullish divergence. You'd be going right down onto the lower time frames, which I don't have time to do in these weekly outlooks. But yeah, you'd be looking for a buy, just to go and break the top on the, for that wave, internal wave Z up on the daily. UY on the daily, nothing's changed. I'm still waiting for a sell setup here. You know, for this A, B, C. I'm looking for that C down. on the H4, we got all this bearish divergence, got all this bearish divergence. So, you definitely don't want to be buying up here. Like I said last week, I think we were in here somewhere last week. It hadn't quite broken that top. And I said, more than likely this is going to be a flat. We got a nice impulse down here. We'll either get a running, like a regular flat if it didn't break the top, or we get a running or expanding flat. It's broken the top now, so more than likely this is an A, B. We'll get a C down for a running or expanding flat before we get another one up breaking the top. And then I'd be looking for the sells. But we're at a top. We have all that bearish divergence. So, if you do trade this pair, you definitely want to be considering looking for the sell. At this stage, there is no sell on it. We have a possible bull hidden here. So there's nothing to say that this won't go up and break that top. If we get a nice correction in here, not breaking this trend line, and then you get a nice correction in here, and then you get a sell set up on the lower time frames where you can look for that sell, even though there is that possible bull hidden. So really, we got to see what sort of, you'll have to wait until like Monday, Tuesday, see what sort of correction, if it's corrective, in here to sell. For the buy, I would be looking for a little bit more downside to finish off that flat, but it may go from here. For the buy, you'd want a nice impulse up and a buy setup, and it's really only just a scalp to break the top. USD CAD on the daily. This one's finally going. It is messing around in here for a very long time. For a very long time, I've been waiting for this. Ever since we had this top, I've been waiting for that time factor in here. We got that time factor. Then we're looking for that Z up to the 123.6 and the 161.8 as your second target. On the H4, it's been very difficult. Well, it wasn't really difficult, but we had that 5 up, and then we just had this one impulse down. So I was sort of looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then give us another one down as a larger running or expanding flat before it goes. Now we were looking for this like 1, 2, 3, the 4 with the bull hidden to go and break the top. It's done that. We are getting bearish divergence now, so I definitely wouldn't be buying this. I really need that sharp impulse down and then a buy set up on the lower time frames to get some sort of a correction that we can identify, because I can't look at this move down here as all the correction of that. So at this stage, I would unless you're scalping on the lower time frame buys, which is risky. We're getting all this bearish divergence, stupid thing to do, but and there really isn't a sell set up on it yet. There's no sell set up. That's the problem. You could go down onto lower time frames, look for a impulse down and a sell, just for that larger C down for that flat like I showed on the H4, and then you'd be looking for the buy. The Swissy on the daily. On the daily, we got those 3 down with the bullish divergence, so that's fine. We got a nice impulse up. This impulse here may not be, well, we got a nice impulse up. So, on the daily, wherever this ends, I'd be looking for the larger correction to buy for at least 3 up, possibly even, giving us a motive structure. On on the H4, we're still looking for the H4 to finish with those 5 up. Like I've mentioned many times, you know, we got that 1, 2, 3, 4. We got that bull hidden here, so looking for that wave Z up. You may have missed it, like, you know, I showed a few weeks back where I got in. I got in one here, I got in one here, and one here for all this. I got out of these two when this started to come down. I'm still in this trade over here, and I'm in another one over here somewhere, down the bottom here somewhere for this. So, you know, you may have missed the trade. But on the H1, I was sort of looking for a 1, 2, 3 up in here. That never happened. We ended up getting the bullish divergence. This is where I bought in here to buy. If I just zoom in there, you'll see it, or if I go down to the M15, you can see here it was a risky trade because I was looking at 1, 2, 3 as a possible flat to go and break the low. But it was very corrective for another one up. So I took this trade and got that. I'm still in this trade around here somewhere. You know, so now to buy, it's going to be very difficult. You pretty much have to wait for a larger correction because we have the bearish divergence, you know, until you get a nice correction, well, then you can buy. To buy up the top here, like I always say, is what marketers do. Marketers can't trade. They just market their systems. They don't trade their systems. They get other people to trade their systems, and more than likely they're losing money. So yeah, there's really not much on this. You're waiting for a correction on the H1, and then you can look for a buy. EG on the daily. So this is very similar to what I was just explaining on the Swissy. In a sense, we got that 1, 2, 3. This can still be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like I've got it. We can still get another one down in here as an internal, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the C wave. Definitely can't rule that out. But like what happened on the Swissy, you know, if we get a correction in here, the flat may not play out, and this is the low. So if you get a correction in here, you can look for a buy. It's a little bit riskier, but like what happened on the Swissy, you know, you can do it once you get a correction. On the H4, you can see what I'm looking at. Right, we got that 1, 2, 3, just breaking that low. Then we got that 1, 2, 3, 4. We had that bull hidden there for that 5th wave up. It's still looking bullish up here. So there is no sell setup. For the sell, you know, you want all this to finish and then a nice impulse down and a correction. Then you can look for a sell for that flat, this flat here. Till that happens, and you can't really buy either because we already have the bearish divergence. So either way, you need a larger correction here, like what happened on the Swissy, like I showed. You need a larger correction here, and then you can buy. Until you get that, you can't really buy. It's very risky to buy. For the sell, you need a nice impulse down and a correction, and then you can look for a sell. The sell is more of a scalp because the sell only really has to go and break that low, and then, you know, you'd be looking for a buy. Ideally, this flat here plays out, comes down, breaks the low, gives us a nice buy setup, and we get in at a low, and we can really load up for the daily. WTI, we got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. This is the low. We got this like impulse up. Really got to go down to the lower time frames on this one because of what's happening in here. The problem is I was looking for that 1, 2, 3, 4. We did have a bull hidden and everything there. I was looking for a correction similar size to that over here. That never happened. Instead, we got a larger correction. So what we have here is like 1, 2, 3. And then we have a 1, 2, 3 as a larger flat. We do have the bearish divergence up between the two tops. Now, you really, it's very risky to trade either way now. Like I mentioned a few weeks ago when we had this, you either look for the buy and we get a buy set up here to buy. This one here become very deep. So, and you can see what happened here. We just got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up with bearish divergence, fell over. So now you can really only sell this. Even though there's that larger flat there, it doesn't look ready and it's not playing the game. So there's no, more than likely this flat won't work and we'll get a larger correction. Like I've got it here as like an A, B, and we get a C down. So you can look for a sell if you get a nice setup on the lower time frames in here. Gold, I should really go over this. If you're looking for, the 30-year target, I mean, I put this idea out. When was it? On the 28th of July 2020, I put this idea out. So I was looking for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up on the day, on the weekly time frame, and then I'm looking for a larger correction. If you want to see what the larger, monthly is, well, it's really not even the monthly, because the monthly, you can see, all this was a B wave, and then I'm looking for a C for an X2 for a wave Z up. If you want to see what's going to happen, in 20, 30, 40 years time, you can't trade that, it's ridiculous. But you can see what happened here, with this setup. I got that wave X2 and we got that Z up. We may be still in this wave Z up, like I've mentioned in my weekly outlooks for a very long time. But you can see here, like, on the daily, on the monthly, this is an A wave, and then we got the B wave, and then we get the C wave down before we get the 3 monthly chart, and we get the Z up on the 3 monthly chart. But yeah, who wants to look at, what's going to happen in 30 years time is beyond me. But getting back to this, so on the daily, we're just looking for this correction. So on the daily, we got that 1, 2, 3 down. We got a nice impulse up. We're waiting for a correction in here. If we get a correction in there, we can look for more upside. To finish off that W1 wave, Z. On the H4, I was looking for a little bit of a correction in here during the week. We never got this one down in here. But even on the H4, you know, we're looking for a correction to buy. You've got to wait for the correction. If you don't wait for the correction, you'll get cut to pieces. The H1 is where we looking for the trades. We got that like 1, 2, 3. I was looking for a 4 here. I was looking for this one to come down during the week and then get another one up there for the 5 waves, and then, you know, a larger correction to buy. So, you know, we have all this bearish divergence. So you have to wait for a correction before we can buy. And unfortunately, as you can see, we didn't get this wave down in here. I was looking for 1, 2, 3 up, another one down in here. It kept on going, so I was looking for one here. Then another one up. Instead, it's giving a larger correction here. So more than likely, we just get like 1, 2, 3, and then we get a larger correction. So what I'd be looking at now is like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we may get 3 down in here for a 333, or we may get 5 as a 335 complex correction. That's the way I'd be looking at it now. Once this is over, you know, there's no buy setup, no sell setup on it yet, you know, and then we'd be looking for upside. There hasn't been, you know, I did take this in here during the week for that larger, like for this flag, for a C down. I didn't get it. It come back, it took me out of break even. I showed all that in the room, my actual trades and everything, you know, live trades. Now you can only buy this. There is no sell setup, and it's very risky to buy because on the higher time frames we do have that. We do have that bearish divergence, but on the M15 we've got like 1, 2, 3. So you'd be looking for a bull hidden in here. If you got a bull hidden here and then a bullish setup, well, you could scalp it, buy, you know. Yeah. Ideally, I'd be waiting for this to end and a sell setup to get the larger impulse down. For the larger correction, for that larger flat like I was showing, you know, and then I'd be looking for another buy. Silver, on the daily, this one here was a little bit more difficult because this one still can fall over. Well, if you go to the weekly chart, you know, we're on an X2, so this still can come down and break that low. Not really going to get into that in this particular weekly outlook, but we got 1, 2, 3, got that bull hidden, we got the 5th one up, then we're looking for the larger correction. We're getting that larger correction. We've got 1, 2, 3 down. So if you get a buy set up in here, like very similar to gold, you can look for a buy. But when we get down onto the H4, this is where it gets tricky, because we have like 1, 2, 3. We have a bear hidden here. So you have to get a very nice sell setup. Well, a very nice buy setup or else there's nothing to say this low here can't be broken with that bear hidden in play. This is looking rather bullish up here, so that's fine. If we get a nice setup, we can still buy this. We are getting that larger correction, so sort of got that 1, 2 extend away. Sorry, sort of got that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up with the bearish divergence, a larger correction. We're getting this. This was similar to gold. This one went. So we have the bullish divergence. So really, this was your trade in here, and it was a very ugly looking trade too during the week, but it did go. You may have missed the trade, if you're not already in it. We quickly go down to the M15. What you'd be looking for if you're looking for the buy is waiting for this wave to be over as like a WXY. Then you'll be looking for, a possible ball hidden in X2, and then a buy set up to trade that wave Z up. It's really scalping. Bitcoin's taken off. It hasn't played out like I was looking at. My analysis was wrong. I was looking at like 1, 2, and an extended wave up in here. On the daily for expanding flat, a possible expanding flat to come down and break the low to get down to this level. But we weren't getting those. Even if you go back to last week, we didn't get that. We didn't get the setup to sell. That was the problem. If I go over what I went over last week, like we're looking at that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Had the ball hidden. We were looking for that 5th one up, and I think we were around here somewhere last week. So we had that 335. If you had got the sell set up, well, then you could have looked for the sell. As you can see here, we never got any sell set up, and it just took off. So now we're looking at that 1, 2, 3. Wait for the time factor in here in your correction, and then look for your buy setup, and you can buy it for a wave 5 up. S&P on the daily. So this one's pretty much got the time factor here now. We got that like 1, 2, 3. Got that 4 up. It's down at the 100 pip here in this A, B, C in the X2. So if we get any buy setup, we can look for the first and the second target, that 123.6 and the 161.8. We're not getting that bullish setup yet. On the H4, we got the 3 down. We got this like 1, 2, 3. It's down at the 100 pip here now. Just waiting for a buy setup. If we get the buy setup, we have a correction. We're just waiting for a buy setup on the lower time frames. Is it going to give it? That's the problem. You'd be looking at the H1 chart, and we got that 1, 2, 3. This may turn into a flat here for a 5th one down, and more than likely that's what'll happen. We'll get some sort of a move up in here as like 1, 1, 2, 3. Another move up in here, and if we get a bear hidden in here, and the sell set up, well, then you could scalp, just scalping to break the low. And then you'd be looking for the buy. AU 200 on the daily, looking for that A, B, C. We're at this 100 pip here now, so that's fine. We've got a 1, 1, 2, 3. We're looking for that 1, 2, 3 down. It's at that 100 pip now, so that's great. So now we're just waiting for a buy setup. If we get a buy setup, we can buy. H4, not much on it. Don't even think we're getting bullish divergence even. We're not even getting bullish divergence. I've really got to go down to the H1. Yeah, you're really only scalping at this stage. There's no real buy setup on it at this stage. You'd have to go right down onto the lower time frames. Like here we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got that 5th one down. There are a couple of scenarios here. We got like 1, 2, 3 here. So 1, 2, 3. This may turn into a running or expanding flat, and we get another one down before we get the buy set up. Doesn't mean that you can't buy here on the lower time frames. If you get a buy set up in here on the lower time frames, well, you can look to buy, knowing full well that it may just be a flat. So you want to get it to break even for another one down. But you want to take this, if you get a buy set up and you do trade this instrument, you can buy this because it may take off at any time. We're at that 100 pip on the daily. The FTSE on the daily. So this one didn't really, play out like I was looking for that, like 1, 2, 3. We got that correction, and we got another one up, which was fine. This was looking corrective here. We got 3 up. We had that impulse, 3 down, and I was looking for 100 pip here. We never got anywhere near that. So something's wrong. We're getting a larger correction. H4, I can't remember what I was actually looking at last week. But yeah, we had a 3 up in here. We had that bull hidden to go and break the top. It didn't quite go and break that top, but it gave a very deep pullback to this. So if you're looking for that bull hidden down here where you should have been, you wouldn't, at worst you would get a break even. Now you can only sell. If we just go down to the H1, you're getting 3 down now, so you'd have to go right down onto the lower time frames to see how many waves you got in here. You may get a 4th in here and a 5th. Be looking for a correction on the lower time frames and trading a 5th one down possibly. And lastly, the DAX. This one here can really fall over. Like I've mentioned for a very long time, we're looking at that A, A, B, C. We had all that bearish divergence for a very long time. We're looking for that sell. It's finally fallen over, and we're starting to get a nice impulse down. On the H4, I believe we've lost the divergence, but you'd really be going down to the lower time frames, like you're looking at some sort of 1, 2, looking at some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. You'd be going down to the lower time frame now to see what's happening in here. Getting 5 down with bullish divergence, like we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We had a bear hidden in here, so you could look for this to trade down. We're getting bullish divergence. Again, this may turn into a larger flat for another one down. So you could go right down. You're really only scalping at this stage. You know, you could look for a buy here for a C up, or it may take off. You know, and then you'd be looking for a sell if it turns into a flat, running or expanding flat. You'd be looking for a sell. So I hope you did enjoy this weekly outlook and got something out of it. If you did, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.